Imagine yourself transported to West Africa in the 14th century, where the Mali Empire was at its peak under the reign of the powerful emperor, Mansa Musa. But soon after, things changed quickly. The kingdom of Gao, still a vassal of the Mali Empire, emerged to give birth to one of the largest and most impressive empires in African history, the Songhai Empire. This is the story of an empire that almost emerged out of nowhere, and which in record time would become one of the most powerful and prosperous in West Africa, thanks to the remarkable leadership of its greatest emperors, Sonni Ali Ber and Askia Mohammed. However, behind its immense power lies a history of internal strife and devastating wars that will ultimately lead the empire to its tragic downfall. Let's explore the epic history and meteoric rise of the Songhai Empire, from its humble birth as a small kingdom in Gao to its transformation into a formidable superpower in West Africa. The Songhai Empire has its origins in the 7th century after centuries of interbreeding between the Songhai and the Berbers. This interbreeding would later lead to the Dio dynasty, with Kukia as its capital, a city located on the Niger River and downstream from Gao. Indeed, this town of Kukia was previously occupied by the Gabibi farmers and the Sokos fishermen, under the reign of King Pharaoh Moroccan, who is the ancestor of the Sokos and the true founder of the city of Gao. But around 1325, Mansa Musa, who had just returned from a pilgrimage to Mecca, sent his lieutenant and right-hand man, Sagamandia, to conquer the city of Gao. But, 12 years later, two brave brothers, Ali Colin and Suleiman Enia, sons of King Dio of Gao, managed to escape from their captivity through Sagamandia and tried to liberate the city of Gao from the grip of Mansa Musa. Thus began the Sonni dynasty, led by Ali Colin, who would call himself the Savior. It was around 1464 that everything changed in the Mali Empire. The death of King Sonni Suleiman Doma led to a succession of upheavals, and it was Ali Ber who finally took power in Gao, and took the title of Songhai. It was the beginning of a new era for Gao and for the Songhai Empire, of which the man nicknamed Ali Ber, or Ali the Great, would be the true founder. Regarding his childhood, Sonni Ali Ber was raised by the mysterious and powerful Pharaoh of Sokoto, his mother's native people. He grew up learning magical powers from his mother, but also military techniques from his father, Sonni Madogo, who was a highly respected king of Gao at the time. Thus, when Ali became Sonni in turn, he had an unrivaled knowledge of war and magic, like a certain Sanjota Keita. But that's not all, because according to legend, Songhai's mother was a witch princess, and she was bathed in a place where a lion had just drunk, which probably explains the legitimacy of Sonni Ali Ber to the throne. In the history of Africa, few warriors are as legendary as Sonni Ali Ber. He was not only an ambitious and courageous military leader, but also a visionary who managed to forge a powerful and prosperous empire. With a well-trained army, commanded by the most talented generals, he repelled the invaders and conquered vast territories. But what set Sonni Ali apart is that he was the first to understand the importance of the navy in defending and conquering land. For this reason, he created the position of High Khoi, or Commander-in-Chief of the Navy, and assembled a fleet of more than 400 boats, led by Soko fishermen, who would be the key to his greatest victories. Around 1468, Omar, the local governor of Timbuktu, was exasperated by the abuses of power by the Tuareg invaders who had conquered the city. He then called on Sonni Ali and his formidable army to liberate the city. Akil, the leader of the Tuaregs, was so frightened by Sonni Ali's strength that he fled Timbuktu with Omar. On January 30, 1468, Sonni Ali Ber finally captured Timbuktu, while freeing Gao from the grip of the former Mali Empire. The beginning of the Songhai Empire has begun. Sonni Ali Ber continued his conquest to the south, occupying the city of Jen, then part of Massina and some regions in West Africa. But Sonni Ali still harbored a powerful grudge against the Tuareg leader Akil, who had taken refuge in Wallata. To finish off Akil, Sonni Ali plans to build a gigantic 250-kilometer-long canal linking Timbuktu to Wallata, in order to deploy his navy and annihilate his enemies. But while he was overseeing the construction of this canal, he discovered that his sworn enemies, the Mossi, had invaded the territory of Massina that he had already conquered. But Sonni Ali has no intention of letting them get away with it. He intercepted the Mossi on their way home, dispersed some of their contingents, pursued them and vigorously drove them back to their home province of Yitenga. He even liberated the city of Wallata from the hands of the Mossis. However, Sonni Ali never resumed the construction of this canal between Timbuktu and Wallata, but some traces of it can still be found in present-day Mali. Sonni Ali Ber's destiny was to conquer and expand his empire, and nothing could stop him, not even the failure to build this canal. Sonni Ali continued to shake West Africa with his great expeditions and lightning attacks against the Dogon, the Fulani of Bandiagara, and the Kingdom of Guma. On his way home from this last great expedition, he drowned while crossing a stream. It was November 6, 1492. This is how Sonni Ali the Great left a well-consolidated empire in the south and west, as well as a reputation as an invincible genius of war. With 28 years of reign and 32 battles, he has never been defeated. But Sonni Ali Ber's reign, as impressive as it is, hides a dark and controversial side. Despite his conversion to Islam, the great conqueror maintained traditional African religious practices, thus creating tensions with Orthodox Muslims. Some Muslim chroniclers even describe him as a bloodthirsty tyrant, persecuting scholars and pious figures to protect his political power. But the question remains open. The story never lacks twists and turns. When Sonni Ali Ber died, his son Sonni Bekri took power and tried to reject Islam in favor of animism, thus arousing the anger of Muslim elites. The Muslim ulama then turned to Muhammad Touré or Muhammad Silla, a Sunni general who was governor of the city of Hombori and a former lieutenant of Sonni Ali Ber, to help them overthrow Sonni Baru. With the support of the Muslim population of Timbuktu, Jen and Gao, Muhammad Touré put an end to the Sonni dynasty and founded the Askia dynasty in April 1493, at the age of 50. And do you know where the name Askia comes from? It is a cry of defiance and spite launched by Sonni Ali Ber's daughters at the announcement of Muhammad Touré's coup d'état, and taken up by the latter as a dynastic title. Esichiya means, it's not him, or it won't be. Thus, we enter a new era of the Songhai Empire under Askia Mohammed. Under the reign of Askia Mohammed, the Songhai Empire became stronger and more prosperous than ever before. Compared to his predecessor, Sonni Ali Ber, he was more organized and methodical. As emperor of the mighty Songhai Empire, Askia Mohammed ruled with wisdom and exceptional methodology, establishing his reign and a golden age for his people. Around 1497, he set off on a sumptuous pilgrimage to Mecca, the brilliance of which brought to life the legendary journey of Emperor Mansa Musa. But he faces a major challenge. Askia Mohammed suffers from a legitimacy complex to the throne due to her coup d'état against Sonni's son Ali Ber. But despite this, he managed to obtain the new title of Caliph of Tekra from major Muslim dignitaries in Mecca. Thus, during his pilgrimage to Mecca, Askia Mohammed asked the Abbasid Caliph, Muley Abbas, to send him a holy figure or sharif to bring the blessing to Songhai. Indeed, these sharifs, descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, were very important in the social and religious life of the Songhai Empire. To obtain a visit from this sharif, Askia Mohammed offered a colossal sum of 100,000 dinars, 500 slaves and 100 camels to Muley Abbas. On his return from pilgrimage, it was the beginning of the extraordinary conquest of the Songhai Empire. He began by promoting the spread of Islam in the major cities of the empire. He also invaded Fouta Toro in Senegal and headed north to Agadez, before seizing southern Dende and Utenga in 1497. He also conquered the fortified cities of the Hausa states of Katsina, Gobir and Kano with the help of the Kanta of Kebbi. But that's not all. Askia Mohammed also pacified the region of Bakunu, occupied by the Fulani of Koli Tenguela, who was killed. 3 years later, he imposed his sovereignty on the king of Agadez, after having repelled the Tuareg occupiers of the air. But Askia Mohammed finds himself confronted by his former ally, the Kanta of Kebbi, who was disappointed with the share of booty allocated to him. Despite this, Askia Mohammed managed to expand the empire, with an area of almost 1.4 million square kilometers. Like its predecessors, Ghana and Mali, the economy of Songhai was based on various very prosperous sectors such as agriculture, livestock, fishing, handicrafts, and especially trans-Saharan trade. Due to its geographical location in the Sudano-Sahelian region, Songhai was an important crossroads on several levels. But Askia Mohammed intends to consolidate his empire by relying on Islam as the engine of unification, rather than traditional clan structures. Askia Mohammed tries both to solidify Sonni Ali Ber's legacy, but above all, to bring something new. Renouncing the system of mass levies practiced by Sonni Ali Ber, which prevented peasants from concentrating on agriculture, Askia Mohammed recruited a professional army composed of slaves and prisoners of war. Gold, spices, precious textiles, all these treasures passed through the commercial centers of Songhai, such as Timbuktu, Jen and Gao, which were under the protection of the imperial army. Thanks to this security, trade flourished. Muhammad became blind and old, he was immediately dethroned by his own eldest son, Askia Musa, who took control of the empire in 1528. 10 years later, Askia Mohammed died in captivity, at the advanced age of 95, after bringing the Songhai Empire to its peak. After his death, the Songhai Empire experienced great moments of political instability due to succession disputes. Indeed, unlike his father, Askia Musa did not manage to impose his authority and was finally killed in 1531. He was succeeded by Askia Mohammed Ben Khan, a nephew of Askia Mohammed, and then by his sons Askia Ismail and Askia Ishakai. When the latter died in 1549, his brother Askia Daud took power and tried to straighten out the empire. In fact, the latter's reign is described as being very prosperous. It thus marks a revival and even a new apogee of Songhai. Askia Daud held power for more than 30 years, during which time he was able to reorganize the Songhai army and win resounding victories against the Tuaregs of the Sahara and neighboring peoples. The new emperor also succeeded in repelling invaders from all directions who attempted to capture the coveted resources of the inner Niger Delta. However, the peace pact he had signed with the Sultan of Morocco backfired when Moulay Ahmed Mansour seized power and invaded the empire to seize its wealth, including its gold and salt mines. As the battles raged, revolts broke out within the empire, threatening to later precipitate the downfall of one of West Africa's greatest powers. Indeed, in 1591, the Battle of Tondebai took place, which would soon put an end to the influence of the Songhai Empire. At that time, the Songhai were led by General Askia Ishaq II, who had hastily assembled an army of more than 12,500 cavalry and 30,000 infantry, ready to do anything to protect their territory. However, the Moroccans, led by Captain Jauda, Moulay Ahmed Mansour's right-hand man, were better equipped technically and better organized, due to the modern weapons acquired from the Portuguese and Spanish. Less prepared and not having reacted in time, the resistance of the Songhai armies was unfortunately not up to the task of this final battle. Subsequently, the Moroccans destroyed the pivotal cities of Timbuktu, Gao and Jin. Askia Ishaq II was captured and killed, and the Songhai Empire was divided into several small kingdoms. After this terrible defeat of Songhai, the whole of West Africa is weakened and has not yet recovered. The Moroccans, despite being victorious, were unable to take over from the fallen empire and were content to control Gao and Timbuktu, under repeated assaults by the Tuareg, Fulani and Bambara. The history of the Songhai Empire is a fascinating and complex epic, and one that absolutely changed the course of history. Thanks to Sonni Ali Ber and Askia Mohammed, the Songhai Empire became a symbol of innovation and the cultural and historical diversity of West Africa. Askia Mohammed will be remembered as a great builder and a man who was deeply religious, firmly applying the rules of fairness and justice. As for Sonni Ali Ber, he has a controversial reputation as a bloodthirsty tyrant, and yet, it was through his remarkable leadership that the Songhai Empire was able to leave a lasting legacy that Askia Mohammed carried on during his reign. I hope you have learned something new about this exciting civilization that is the Songhai Empire. It was a pleasure to share this video with you, and we will see you soon.